When I was small I wanted to be a nurse, but I suppose a few things in life got in the way and I ended up going back to do it when I was 24. So when I was 16 I got pregnant with my son, and then I had my daughter nearly 2 years later. So after I did my leaving, I ended up just kind of getting into office work for a while. I work in an emergency department in a Dublin hospital, so we're very busy. So I'd either work in triage, deciding how serious patients are and how quickly they need to be seen, or just in the majors area where we just look after the stable patients while they're waiting on beds, or else in the resus area where we get in red calls, which are life or death situations. We got a boy in who had attempted to hang himself, so he was found just as he hung himself from a tree by someone driving by, and they came and cut him down. And when he came in to us, he was really critically ill. He had his lungs had collapsed, and it was really kind of life or death. He was just about to go into an arrest, basically cardiac arrest, so his heart was near enough stopping, his blood pressure was dropping, everything was kind of going real bad, and we had to get him over to a CT scan quickly, like. And he came in a few weeks later and he said that he was really glad that he lived, that it had been like not a mistake, but he, you know, realised the impact it would have had on his family, because his brother had also hung himself, and he was glad that he'd come out the other side.
Do you feel like you saved lives?
Not single-handedly, but I can have a part in saving lives. I don't see there being much change for nurses. There's no incentive for, like, there's still the same amount of people want to be nurses, but there's no incentive to stay. So like, if you qualify as a nurse, you can go to Australia and start off on 60,000. What if you were young, like if you were 22 finishing college, why wouldn't you do that? Like,
Do you feel well represented by your government?
no, not at all. I think the government have zero interest in supporting us at all. But for instance, we don't get politicians in the hospital. I think once we have, and they emptied the whole department, they're not seeing the same as we're seeing. If they get sick, they go to a private hospital. So like, it doesn't affect them. Like, so why would they bother? Like, it doesn't affect them or their families. I just think that there needs to be a big change, and nurses need to be treated the same as other professionals, because we are professionals. You do a 4-year degree, so speech and language, physios, radiographers, all of them, they all start on a better pay scale. They're all better respected. I think the people that are in the union are generally people who have gone on with their careers, they're clinical nurse managers, they're advanced nurse practitioners, or the people that have been a good few years out of nursing and had gone into the admin side of things. So I think in the union at the moment, there's not many actual staff nurses represented, because the new union leaders seem to be like, this was the first time we actually went ahead with a strike in years, when every year we've been told, oh, we're going on strike, and it never came about. So when we were actually going on strike, I thought like she was better. So 2 members of the INMO came in and talked to us, and basically to explain the deal. But when I printed off the pay scales for the new agreement and the pay scales for the agreement we're already on, at the top of your pay scale on the new agreement you'd be getting 45,000, but the top of our one at the moment is 44. So like, it was like we did 3 days of strike. We had more planned, and it was really like tough going. You were putting your registration on the line just by being in work, you know. Like, there was like a protest in town and 50,000 people turned up, like public and everybody, to support us, and then they called off the strike to offer us €1,000 after what, like 12 years work, you get an extra €1,000. So I think the union were selling us out a little bit.